What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video of mine. Today we're just going to be talking about some more of my mission, so I hope you guys are able to enjoy. Oh, sweet. Just found out I could use my arrow keys. Alright, well, let's start off with this. This is the zone conference, my first transfer with Elder Ladueña. Genuinely, I don't remember much of this zone conference. Just because I just don't, because it was a short time and I don't remember what happens at every zone conference. There's a picture of us. A lot of my companions are actually in this picture. You can see Elder Ladueña. I was with Elder Barrientos here, Elder Bernhardt, Elder Peterson. This was later on in the mission though. But yeah, a lot of my companions are in this picture, which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun to be in a zone with a bunch of your companions because there's always people to talk to during zone conferences and on P days and everything. It's just really fun. Here is a silly picture. Here's my companion Elder Ladueña. Of course, he's got his some sort of, I have no idea, hatchet axe thing that he created. Very artistic guy, and so it's pretty cool there. Um, so that's pretty cool. Freaking Ladueña always had something cool, man. He'd make these things during zone conference. It was hilarious. Um, Here's just a picture. I think Elder Palu is taking this picture. Here, I love Elder Palu. He just got married in April, and we went to his wedding and made him a little mini temple. And he's a awesome guy. I love Elder Palu. I spent a lot of my mission with Elder Palu. We were in Rio Gallegos together, and then no, he was being trained in when I was in Comodoro. He was in Comodoro with me, and then we got transferred to the island together, and then we got transferred to Colette Olivia together, and we were with each other to the end of my mission. So I'm really close to Elder Palu. I love Palu with my whole heart, man. This is Elder Pokemon. This is one of my good buddies. He's my district leader for a couple transfers, and we would a lot of times we would play Magic the Gathering. That's what you can see here on the table. We were really big into that when it was allowed on our mission. At the very beginning of my mission, we could play it. It was pretty fun. But he and we would go on splits and things, and for because he was my district leader. So I think this was one of the nights we were doing splits with him and his companion. He was training this transfer, and we did splits that day. I went with him. His companion went with Elder Ladueña, and that evening we ended up spending the night in the same apartment, which was their apartment, which was super super nice. I was so jealous of their apartment. It was really really nice. So, dude, funny story about that night in the apartment. We get home, and I love Elder Ladueña to death, but his hygiene wasn't the greatest, and we got home, and he had a tendency of wearing like the same socks every day for like a week straight. It just something he did. So his feet would smell really, really bad. And in our own apartment, I'd make him put his shoes outside of the apartment because our apartment was so small it would smell up the entire apartment because it was a little studio apartment. And so this night we go in, they had mattresses, they threw them on the floor, and Elder Ladueña and I were sleeping on the floor. He was sleeping closest to the door, and I was sleeping furthest away from the door. And we're laying there, and I'm like, something smells, guys. And they're like, yeah, we smell that too. What the frick? And Elder Ladueña's just chuckling to himself, and we're like, oh, freaking Ladueña, you brought your shoes in the room, didn't you? And we turn on the lights. Sure enough, his shoes were right at the head of my bed. So I was smelling them so profusely. Anyways, I got so mad I like chucked those things out of the room. I was like, freaking Ladueña, that's disgusting. He thought it was so funny though. Oh man, good times. So so this is the day I received my package. I only received two packages in my mission because they weren't able to be sent. It was really, really hard to send packages. You couldn't just send them via the mail because they'd get stolen. And Argentina has a no like import export trade policy, so that has to do with mail too. So because of that, it was just really really hard to get packages. In fact, the only way you could get packages is if somebody packed a suitcase full of missionaries' packages. It's called Pack Mule Express. They packed all of these missionaries' packages in a suitcase, and then they would fly them down to Argentina, and they'd travel to all the mission homes and drop off the packages. And it cost like $400 a package. It was super expensive. But I got really lucky because there was a family in my home ward growing up named the Munozes, and they uh, owned a ranch in, I think it was Rio Negro or Neuquén, which was right above my mission, super close. And so what they did is they hand delivered my package to a um, in country like UPS pretty much, and that was delivered to us. And so one of the members drove me to go pick it up. So it was pretty cool. But these are the ties I got. I love those ties. I also love my checkered tie in this picture. It's one of my favorite ties I ever got. Um, Here's some of the sister missionaries from my district, Hermana Crespo and Hermana Piedra. They're really cool. This is Elder Ladueña. I asked my mom when I found out I was companions with him and she was sending me that package with the Munozes. I said, please send art supplies because my companion is a huge art fanatic and it would just be awesome for him. I never saw Elder Ladueña smile like this ever again. He was so ecstatic. And this is when he taught me how to, to draw those pictures afterwards, anyways. When he was trying to teach me how to draw anime and then he drew it as a girl. Anyways, that's a previous episode. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. So Elder Ladueña was so excited to get these art supplies, and they were really high quality art supplies. So he was just ecstatic. This is Kike Vega. That's the member that drove us to go pick up that package. I love that man to death. I love that guy. He's just awesome. Just a good guy. I love his whole family. We spent a lot of time in their home, with their son David, hanging out with him. He was inactive when we were in the ward at the beginning of my time in the ward, and so we would go talk to him quite a bit. But this is me opening my package. I just remember being so excited, like a kid on Christmas. You can see the Magic the Gathering cards here. I was really excited for those actually. There's the package as a whole. Elder Ladueña, I remember, was like, "Oh, you got art supplies? That's so cool." I was like, "No, they're your art supplies." He's like, "What?" Dude almost cried. It was so funny. Also, look at that strategic packing on my mom's part. Good job. Takis. I missed spicy chips so much while I lived in Argentina because there nothing is spicy. And if anybody's Argentine watching this, I know you can back me, but depending on the family in Argentina, pepper's too spicy for them. Like, members would put salt on the table and not have pepper because pepper was too spicy. It was super weird. I remember that happening a handful of times. I was like, is there pepper? Hay pimienta? And they're like, no, it's too spicy. I was like, okay. Rubik's Cubes. I carried these things everywhere. In fact, I have videos somewhere of me racing with some of the kids doing Rubik's Cubes. It's pretty fun. I would also, I'm trying to remember, I would teach a lesson with the Rubik's Cube. And I'm trying to remember how I taught it. I can't even remember anymore. It's been too long. Photo album. I was really excited. I loved that thing. Super awesome. And everybody you ever meet wants to know your backstory and your life, and so it's easy just to pull out a photo album and be like, "Oh, this is my family. This is where I'm from. This is what I like to do. These are my friends. This, that, and the other." And so you would really connect with people like a lot deeper when you had a photo album. So I remember that was one of the things I asked my mom for, was like, please send me a photo album. I feel like that'll really benefit me in more ways than one, more ways than just having my family pictures. And if you guys remember, I said that Elder Rojas stole my thumb drive that had all my family pictures on it, and then the assistants that got it back for me, or the zone leaders that got it back for me, Elder Rojas had put some non-mission appropriate music on there, and so they just deleted everything off the thumb drive, and I was really upset about that because had all my pictures on there, had some of my mission pictures that I hadn't had saved anywhere else other than that thumb drive, and so I was pretty upset because I lost some of my pretty valuable memories there. This was a lunch, so this is my trainer right here, and then this is a guy from his mission group, and I'm trying to remember what they were doing. Oh, there was a super consejo is what we called it in the mission. It was a mission training for all the leaders in the mission. He was a district leader in Chileo at this point, and so he came down for that. And then while he was in Comodoro, he served in La Prensa. He used to tell me about La Prensa all the time, and then I got called to La Prensa, and that was when I was in Gaiman and he was in Chileo, and so I was pretty upset that I was leaving Gaiman, and he like pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you're gonna have so much fun in La Prensa, you're gonna love it there. He talked me up, and he was right. He was right. He genuinely was right. I loved La Prensa. It was one of my very favorite areas. And it's the area that I have the most friends from. So, which is crazy. So he came back to visit during that time because they had some time in between or like the consejo, the counseling conference, whatever you call it, for all the leaders, and going back to his area. So he came and visited with some of the members with us. He called me. He's like, "Hey, come see a couple of the members with us. I want to see." I was like, "All right." So we dropped in and did that. Here's Elder Laduena with his glasses, and this is Elder Romney, and then this is David Vega. So this is David. David was wearing that hat, and he took it off and he put it on my head, so I put my name tag up there. And then this is, oh, I'm trying to remember this cat's name. I loved this cat. It was just like so cuddly. It just like come jump in your lap and want to cuddle you. So, oh my goodness, I was remembering the other day. We were teaching this lady named Elsa in my mission in Calafate when I was with Elder Whiting, right, my very first transfer in the mission, and we were saying the prayer during, for the beginning prayer, and she had like 15 kittens in her house, like little tiny baby kittens in her house, and we're saying the prayer, and all of a sudden I just like start making noises. I'm like, and my companion like elbows me, and I was like trying so hard to stay quiet. The baby kittens, like all of them, decided that they were gonna scale my legs and get up on the table. And so I had like a dozen baby kittens, literally a dozen baby kittens, scaling my legs to get up onto the table. And they're digging their claws into me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so they were like, after we ended the prayer, they're all like looking at me funny. And I'm like, there's baby kittens on my legs. And we all had a good laugh. Anyways, that was in Calafate, but just remember that story looking at this cat. This is David Vega was bullying me, and so Elder Whiting came out of his way to save me. One of the many reasons that I love Elder Whiting. So Whiting came to save me by bullying David. It was funny because Elder Whiting used to tell me about David all the time in the Vegas and how much he loved them, and then I got to go to that area, and it's true. I love that family with my whole heart. Here is a picture. So all of these guys here, Elder Frame was in the office. He was an office finance guy. Elder Ladoni is my companion, me. Elder Bernhardt was called to be trainer. Elder Whiting was called to be a trainer, and Elder Peterson was called to be a trainer. He was in Treleo, he was in Rio Gallegos, or Rio Grande, I mean. And then Elder Bernhardt was in Comodoro. And so it was crazy because they were all there, and we were like, dude, this is all of my companions but one. Elder Rojas was the only companion that I had that wasn't there for this picture, and I was kind of okay with that, honestly, but it's horrible to say, but it's true. So I got a picture with almost all of my companions from the mission up to that point. It was really, really cool. There's the MTC trio. Had to send that home to all of our moms. It was pretty exciting to see all of them again and get to visit with them and see what experiences they had up until we'd been in the mission for about 7 months at this point. And it was just pretty crazy to see. So this is me helping Augustina. We would teach English lessons every Tuesday at the church in the evenings. It was just some of the ways to get investigators to come and get to know the church and to learn something beneficial. So we'd teach English lessons, and only Augustina showed up for this English lesson at the church building. So we taught an English lesson. She brought her homework and she asked me for help on it. I realized I don't know the rules of English very well, and I realized that most English speakers don't really know the English rules very well. And unless you learn a language from like the basis, kind of like Spanish, like I know the Spanish language rules really well because I had to study them multiple times. And so that was kind of crazy, trying to help her with her English homework. Now, if that was Spanish homework, I probably could have done pretty well with it. And so, but it was English homework, and I realized, I'm like, holy cow, I can speak English just fine. I don't know all the English rules. And so it's crazy how that happens, but it is what it is. Probably something I should study. Actually, after my mission, I came home, and it was probably about 8 months ago now, I went and took the FLATS test, which is a foreign language advancement test. And on that test, you pretty much just talk about, or it just tests you on how well you know a language. I was really worried. I was like, okay, this is worth 20 college credits. I'm not sure I could pass it. I've been home from my mission for 4 years at this point. Not sure how well my Spanish abilities are. And I sat down on the test and I was legitimately worried. I was like, holy cow, these are hard questions, but I got out of the test, and as soon as you get out of the test, they send you a text message whether you passed or failed, and I passed all four of the courses, so I was able to get all my credits, so I was glad about that. So if I wanted, I could just do a little bit more testing and be a translator, but I don't know if I want to do all of that. It's just a lot. So here is a picture of just Elder Ladwayne and I. We're at a member's house for lunch. Um, this is really cool. These members, these are the Vicharoels. They were from my area in Comodoro while I was there. And this is Vanessa. She was awesome. One of my favorite members and favorite families from this area. But they went to General Conference and they went out of their way to go find my parents. So Macy was turning 12. So every time one of the kids of my family turns 12, my parents take them on a conference trip. So they just go and they go see a session of conference in person. And that's what they were doing. And so my mom and dad were able to go meet up with Vanessa and her parents. And they were able to go just enjoy and talk. And they offered my parents mate and some juice and things. And it was pretty funny because I think my mom and dad may have tried mate and they did not like it in the least bit. But it was a pretty cool experience to get that picture and see the members that you love so much with your family that you love so much, obviously. Also, look at my dad. Look at that handsome dude. It's a handsome devil. Oops. There's another picture with Vanessa and Macy. Here's Elder Ladonia and I in the Sequetti's house. I'm going to pause this really quickly and read this so I can explain the story better. Alrighty. So I was able to read that really quickly. It was pretty cool. It just talked about General Conference briefly, and even 7,000 miles away, you can feel the spirit of General Conference, and that is true. You genuinely can. I also talked about how I was worried I had cavities at this point in my mission, which up until this day, I still have never had a cavity in my life, thankfully. But I went to a dentist in Argentina with Elder Ladueña because Elder Ladueña was having some problems with one of his teeth. And she's like, oh, let me look in your mouth. And she looks in there. She's like, oh, you have dozens of cavities. And I was like, ah, great. Of course, I believed them. And my mom's like, don't do any dental work there. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So I didn't. I waited until I got home. But the other thing I talked about in this was Vanessa brought me a package, which I totally forgot, which that's really cool. Which got some magic and some other things. Very, very quickly thereafter, magic was banned for some problems with missionaries spending all of their monthly allowance on magic. So didn't get to play with those cards very much. And then my mission president had a zone conference meeting with him, and he told me, I'd talked to him a couple of times. My parents were planning on coming to pick me up for my mission. And my mission president was like, yeah, that's fine. That'd be awesome. So, but that didn't end up happening after all. I decided I wanted to go home and have the walking off the plane with out to my family, which I'm really glad I had. That was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I said here, I bet I'll be getting transferred in 2 weeks, which I ended up getting. And I remembered at this time, I prayed every single night. This was about to be winter in my mission. I would pray every single day. Please send me to Ushuaia. Please send me to Ushuaia. Please send me to Ushuaia. Because Ushuaia is just beautiful. It's just amazing area. And so I would pray about it every single day. And my district leader knew about it. My companion knew about it. Lots of elders and sisters in the area knew about it. And guess what? I got called to Ushuaia. And when I got called to Ushuaia, my zone leader on the phone on transfer calls just starts laughing hysterically. He's like, well, of course, Elder Passey's going to Ushuaia. And so all the missioners were like, are you kidding me? Apparently we need to start praying for areas. I'm like, dude, pray about it. Just talk to the Lord about it. It'll get fixed. I still have a firm testimony of that. And so that was pretty cool. Let's see here. I gotta click back into this. Oh, and this, I guess, you know what? We'll get into this story for the next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed. This was kind of a miscellaneous story info session. So sorry that it wasn't super well thought out. But for the next one, I'll make sure to be a little bit more prepared. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Later.